also, so it's something that I wanted to like ask. 'Cause I know in some views.
What was your name, by the way?
I'm Tenzin.
Tenzin, Ricky.
Ricky, awesome. I'll try to remember that. I know in some views the belief is that Adam and Eve created the original sin, and Jesus through his sacrifice like expunged that. Even though we're all still sinners, like through Jesus like sacrificing himself, like we are saved in that regard. So in that way, like, because you're relating heavily back to Adam being like the originator of sin, like in your view, like does Jesus' sacrifice like have anything to do with where we are now with our sin?
See, hi.
I just want to know your name.
I'm Ricky.
Oh, there.
Here, let me give you a.
Rolling tape. Nice to meet you, Ricky.
Here's a gospel track. It's got.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I'll take that.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah, everything here's free.
Oh, for real? Thank you.
Yeah, take what you want. I think there's different ones in there too.
Yeah. I have a question about what you said.
Sure.
About, like just about like good things or bad things happening with the good people, and like how that's God's grace and everything like that. So, when you say that, are you inferring that like all actions of man is like
It's a result of sin because of the fall.
Okay.
So because sin came into the world and death through sin, through Adam.
Yeah.
And God, at that point when Adam sinned in the garden, right, God cursed man and he cursed the ground. So everything that happens in life that is evil, that is wicked, health-wise, is a result of the sin, It doesn't mean though, so let me clear, it doesn't mean that if something bad happens to you, that it's specifically because you're living in some certain sin right now that you get cancer or you get, a loved one die.
Okay.
That's not always the case. It could be that because you're living in a certain type of sin that God uses that. But the things that happen, the bad things that happen in life are a result of sin. Evil, sickness, these things.
And I follow that, but
yeah.
I guess the question I was trying to get at is like, because I understand in some views, God is all-encompassing, like God controls all. And so when bad things happen to people, thanks. I'm actually curious. So it's like, I don't know, like if you mean that like so even if like someone's like the most like gracious that they can be, we're all sinners, and something bad happens to them, that's like God ordained.
Yeah, I would say everything is God ordained.
Okay.
Like nothing happens apart from the decree of God. If you look at, I don't know if you're familiar with the book of Job.
Yeah, I read over the summer.
Okay, so even in that, God says, here comes Satan before God, who's just a created being, and I think it's Spurgeon.
And he's like questioning. And like,
I think it's Spurgeon, one of who was the Prince of Preacher. I think it's him. It could be another preacher in the past. Has said, maybe it was even Calvin that said that, or maybe it was Luther. They said that even Satan belongs to God.
Yeah,
he doesn't do anything apart from God allowing him to do it.
Satan can't supersede God. Yeah,
right.
I'm familiar.
And so
everything that happens to Job is a result of God.
He allowed it and said, hey, you've seen my righteous man Job, and then Satan's like, yeah, but he's righteous because your hand is protection on him. Yeah. He says, well, I'll remove it. You can't touch him, but you can do whatever else you want to do. And so those things happen. And so everything that happens is a result of God decreeing it. I hold to Reformed theology, so we take a very strong stance on God ordains all things to come to pass.
Okay.
There's no meaningless evil that happens in this world. So we don't say, well, something evil happened to this person. Well, there was no meaning to it. No, there was meaning to it. It's evil and it's wicked, and God, through that, brings about, the Bible says in Romans 8, that he works all things together for the good of those who love him, those who are called according to his purposes. And so he works all these things together. We would say that he's not while he decrees all things, he's the first cause of all things, but he's not he allows second causes to bring it about. So I don't believe in free will in the sense that man has the ability to come to God on his own. Okay.
Gotcha.
But we do have free will to do things according to our nature. So in our nature, we are all sinners by our very nature because Adam is our covenant head.
Okay. But also, so it's something that I wanted to ask. I know in some views.
What was your name, by the way?
I'm Tenzin.
Tenzin, Ricky.
Ricky, awesome. I'll try to remember that. I know in some views the belief is that Adam and Eve created the original sin, and Jesus through his sacrifice, like that, even though we're all still sinners, like through Jesus like sacrificing himself, like we are saved in that regard. So in that way, like, because you're relating heavily back to Adam being like the originator of sin. Like in your view, like does Jesus' sacrifice like have anything to do with where we are now with our sin?
See, Adam is the federal head of all mankind. Okay, Christ is referred to as the second Adam. He comes and does what Adam didn't do.
Yeah.
Right. The difference is though, everyone is a child of Adam. Not everyone is a child of God. Okay. So Adam is the federal head of all mankind, but those who repent and believe in Jesus Christ, Christ becomes saved through Jesus. Christ then is the federal head of all those who believe.
Okay.
Right? Now, I'm also, like I said, I'm Reformed, so I don't believe that everybody's going to get saved. God says in Romans 9, what if God, wanting to show his mercy, prepares some vessels for his glory and others for destruction? So he creates some people, his elect, to be saved, and the non-elect won't be. But we don't try to spend a lot of time on figuring out who is elect and who's not. Christ says, my sheep hear my voice and they come, right? So Christ then becomes the federal head of all those who have put their faith and trust in him, those that he says are his sheep and they come when they hear his voice.
Okay.
You know?
Also, just one more thing as well, because when you're explaining this, like you just mentioned that like some things that are bad that happens are a result of like our sin, like as not punishment, well, necessarily punishment, but as like a sign for us, and some like aren't. Do you know like why there's not that like distinction about that? Like
well, I'm saying like let me see if I can try to I think I know what you're asking.
Yeah,
let me try to.
Bad at articulating things.
So like, if I get cancer, right? As a Christian, I'm a follower of Christ. If I get cancer, it could be a result of some sin in my life that God is using it as a judgment upon me. Okay, but it also may not be a result of something I'm doing in sin, but it may be part of God's bigger plan to bring about redemption to maybe family members. To bring about a conformity of me into trusting him more. You know, Joni Eareckson Tada, for example, was an Olympic swimmer, diver. She dove and broke her neck and has been paralyzed from a young age all the way until now. She's been in a wheelchair her whole life. And she said many times she would never change. She's in pain all the time. She suffers with all kinds of issues from that, health-wise, physically. She said, I would never change it because it brought me so close to God to where I would have never had this kind of trust and reliability upon God and his grace and his mercy had this not have happened in my life. So that's what I'm saying. Like it could be as a result, if something happens, it could be a result of the sin that's in my life, or it could be just God using that as a trial to grow me closer to him, or to use it for the benefit of bringing a loved one or a family member to faith, you know, because he works all those things together for the good.
And in this view, like last thing I'll ask for now,
sure.
I think just like a clarification question, not necessarily a question I have, but
sure.
So you think that for any like misfortune that falls on someone, regardless of whether or not it's because of the result of their sin?
Well, it's a result of sin. It may not be necessarily theirs. It could be the result of somebody else. Like, if somebody comes up and did something evil to you, you may just be doing nothing, but that person comes and it's a result of sin. Yeah.
So the point I'm getting at is that through whichever manner that it is, it's an opportunity for someone involved to like come to Christ. Then would you hold that opinion?
Yeah. God could use that. You know.
Okay.
You know.
So yeah, because like I feel like if that weren't the case, then there would be needless suffering, and like if God is. I'm sorry, dude. Do you have a question? You can ask it. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. That's the last thing I had. You keep preaching, but like, I would have to imagine that if that were the case, like, there would need to be a reason for suffering to happen.
Yeah, I don't think there's no meaningless evil that happens in the world. It's like it's not purposeless. Where with evolution, everything is a random chemical reaction, right? Just a random chemical reaction of just. In space, there was this explosion, or however you want to get to evolution, there's really no meaning behind the evil that takes place. Because the theory of evolution says survival of the fittest. So if somebody stronger than me, more knowledgeable than me, more educated than me, comes up and says, you don't deserve to live because I'm stronger, I'm more educated, and we want to go about, and this has even happened in Germany with Hitler.
And it's happened throughout all of history.
Yeah, it happens throughout history. It's always happens.
Yeah.
But it would just be meaningless. How can you hold these people accountable for that? Because it's meaningless evil. But see, with
I don't think it's right either. However, I wouldn't necessarily, personally, I wouldn't say that it's meaningless. I'll let you expound on that if you want. I don't know.
Well, explain to me how, because I want to know, like, when you say it wouldn't be meaningless. So if somebody just doesn't know you, and they just came up here right now and pulled out a gun and shot you and me dead.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't happen, right? But if that happened, is that meaningless?
No.
You're saying, so how what would that be? That would just be balancing out? Like, I'm just trying to understand.
Are saying, like, is it meaningless for me or for, like, the grand scheme of things? Because all things are rooted in context. That person didn't just randomly, I'm going to shoot this person right now. Like, they have, like a mental condition to which they're not thinking, like, clearly, and that's, like, their rationale. Or they have a reason, like, okay, this person wronged me. Maybe I don't know that. This person wronged me. I'm going to go reenact whatever. Or I need their money or what have you. I don't think that, for that, like, scenario, that it's meaningless in the grand scheme of things because there's context behind them at the very least. If not for me.
Well, you had mentioned the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you think that there's something that's above that grand scheme of things? Because if honestly, if we're just Stardust bumping into Stardust, there's really no meaning to it. I understand what you're saying in this context, but really we're just fizz bumping into each other. You know what I mean?
When you say above, I think when you say that, you're trying to get me to say that, like.
Well, I'm not trying to get you to say anything. I just from what your position is.
I would say that, like, the act of these things is like not the final all, but like it. How do I word this? I think acts that appear in which that they are chaotic and meaningless aren't just by virtue of, like, it existing within all things. Does that make sense? This isn't me, like, arguing, like, for or against there being intention, like, that we perceive, or that, like, God has, like, any sort of way or not saying anything. I'm just saying that, like, for all of this, like, this is the cause of what it is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I hope you follow that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
yeah.
But I don't know if you have anything more to say or like to preach or anything. I'd love to hear it. But
well, I'm probably going to leave soon.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out. This is my second week back here. I'm trying to get out here once a week, Lord willing.
Oh, dang! Yeah, that's pretty.
But just to kind of build rapport with the students and to preach and share the gospel. But I'm trying to figure out the timing of things in the morning. And it seems like around this time there's more students come out.
And then also, like, it's hard just sleep in the weather. You know,
Yeah.
Can be really hit or miss. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hey, it's good talking to you, man. Just if you have any questions, you know, like I'm not out here to try to get anybody to come to our church or nothing, but I do want to point people to Christ. But if you have any questions, you know, just want to, you know, my emails. You can look up the website. My email's in there.
Gotcha.
So.
Well,
they said it was
Tenzin.
Tenzin.
Like the number 10. If you forget, I don't.
Yeah. I'll try to remember though. Yep.
All right, man.
Have a good one, man.
Thank you, you too.